mental illness gets a bad gig, right? Because we're always talking about the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. We're always talking about how bad it is. It's bad. I've been there. It's really, really bad. But we actually don't talk about it, how we can prevent it, what we need to do on a daily basis, what causes it, you know, how we can avoid it, how we can make sure that we have the right tools around us. We don't do enough of that, and that's what I'm really passionate about now, the preventative space. 5 years ago, I felt that I'd failed. You know, I'd been the face of mental health in our country for sort of 11 years, did a anti-stigma campaign, hope campaign, then we created a thing called depression.org.nz, a safe place in your own home to go and do basic mental health, cognitive behaviour therapy. I woke up 5 years ago, read the paper, and our mental health stats are going the wrong way. So failure doesn't scare me, you know, it actually motivates me because I try and learn as quickly as I can from it. And I thought, we're looking at this the wrong way. So I created a foundation, and we've built a curriculum, a mental health curriculum for schools. Actually Zurich, the reason I'm here, they've been incredible supporters of it, and we've created a curriculum where we go into the schools and we teach primary school kids all the things they need to know about mental health. But we don't actually teach the kids, we teach the teachers to put it in amongst the curriculum, so it's taught like English, maths and science, right? And then the other thing I did is I created a digital preventative mental health company called Groove, because I don't think the government is going to solve this problem. I think the workplace is, because it's such a big problem now. You know, they don't have the budgets, they don't have the hospitals, they don't have all that sort of stuff. So how do we do that preventatively? So I think this prevention stuff, talking about it in our sports clubs, getting our heroes to talk about it, making it normal at school, putting it on the agenda at work, will eventually just normalise it, and that's when we'll start getting on top of the stats. I often talk about, and I'll talk about the 80s, you know, we used to drink and smoke and no one really gave a shit, you know. And by the end of the 80s, people saying maybe you shouldn't smoke and maybe you shouldn't drink too much because it's not good for your health, right? But then the solutions came along, right? And if I said to you, you know, how many diets do you know about? Vegan, paleo, you know, there's just so much shit coming at us all the time. So where I'm at the moment is I think there's awareness, I think we all know it, but we need the solutions, right? And that's why I want to deliver solutions to our kids. What do we actually do about it? One of the things we talk about at Groove, which is what I live by, is the 6 pillars of well-being. I live by them daily, you know, and they're not difficult to do. They're little bite-sized things that I do in my day that look after my mental health. So I think the awareness is there now, but we actually need real solid solutions. And everyone's different. Like Yosemite yoga, I'm going to kill the yoga teacher, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just not for me, but it might be for you. So we can't say it's one size fits all, because, you know, I used to have an Auntie Betty, you know, she used to have purple hair and she knitted, right? Used to drive everyone else crazy, but I read an article the other day saying that knitting is amazing for your mental health. You know, I'm an active relaxer, so I've got to either cook, I took up the guitar during COVID, sounds like I'm killing a cat in the lounge, or I read, because I've got an active mind, I've got a ruminating mind, I just call it Bob the Monkey, right? So that's what I do, but everyone just needs to learn what they need to do on a daily basis to keep their, you know, keep their mental health really sane. There's a beautiful Māori saying that says, you can't have hope and faith in the future if you first don't stand on the shoulders of the past. So we can't cancel the wisdom that we were taught and the wisdom that we have as elders, right? But you also can't tell them what worked for us, because it's very different. So the best way that I think about it is, if you go to them with the problem, for example, you're addicted to your phone and so am I, right? How are we going to solve this problem together as a family, right? Then you come up with really good solutions. So you've got to bring them into it, because they're problems that we never had. And so for me, it's actually talking about a dialogue, understanding and explaining the problem, and then working out the solution together. Because we come and say, turn your bloody phone off, you know how that's going to go, right? But if you work a way through it, and I think education, technology has overtaken a lot of things in this world, including education, including parenting. You know, I think it's incredibly, it was way more difficult for me to parent than it was for my parents, right? And I think it's way more difficult now to parent our youngsters when they're coming up. So, you know, those things you need to take into account, but we can't just let it sit there. We've got to try and fail fast and keep moving and bring them along on the journey. If we're going to change the world, I think businesses and education is going to change the world, and we need to make sure that I believe that if you're not on board in this space, so it's, you'll know this in rugby, right? If someone's playing really well and you go and ask him, he'll say, oh, things are going well, you know, things are going well in the relationships, kids are good, mumsy's good, you know, and he's playing well and my game's sorted, right? If that's a bit like that, he's not going to be playing well. He might be playing to an Everton, but not to his best, right? And so we've got to put those two conversations together also in the workplace, because you know what it does? It improves productivity, retains the people who you want to retain, right? And you feel better and you're happier in the workplace. And I think we've gone through a stage, I think our parents had that, they had more friends at work and, you know, there's this community feeling. I think we've got away from that a wee bit and gone a bit too capitalistic and profits and all that sort of stuff. We need to get back to leaders saying, you know, I want you to perform, but I'm genuinely going to care for you. And I think rugby especially is ahead in that space because we get judged every week.